I'm Taylor Hudak with acTVism Munich, and welcome back to another Julian Assange case update. A UK High Court delivered its decision at the Royal Courts of Justice on the US appeal of a previous ruling in the extradition case of Julian Assange. The High Court judges overturned the previous decision and ruled in favor of the United States. This brings Assange one step closer to facing extradition to the US.
Today, it's been almost a year since I stood outside court with our victory of the blocking of the extradition. For the past year, and the past year, 2 years and a half, Julian has remained in Belmarsh Prison, and in fact, he has been detained since the 7th of December 2010 in one form or another, 11 years. For how long can this go on?
The United States appealed on 5 grounds, including ground 1, that the judge made errors of law in her application under the test in Section 91. And to clarify, Section 91 of the UK Extradition Act of 2003 prevents extradition if the condition is that the physical or mental condition of the person is such that it would be unjust or oppressive to extradite him. Ground 2, having met the criteria to prevent extradition under Section 91, the judge ought to have notified the USA of her provisional view to afford it the opportunity of offering assurances to the court. Ground 3, this is related to the weight given to the defense psychiatric witness, Professor Michael Koppelman. The U.S. claims Professor Koppelman had misled her, the district judge, on a material issue. Ground 4, the judge erred in her overall assessment of the evidence going to the risk of suicide. And lastly, ground 5 is related to the new U.S. assurances. The USA has now provided the United Kingdom with a package of assurances which are responsive to the judge's specific findings in the case. But these assurances were provided to the court months after the January 4th decision in which the district judge blocked the extradition request. Now, the decision by the High Court has been described as a travesty and grave miscarriage of justice. And it is also important to note that the High Court judges accepted all of the medical evidence and evidence related to the conditions in the U.S. prison system.
Today's judgment was a partial victory in that the judge found that on the medical evidence and on the evidence of conditions in American jails, the magistrate had made the correct decision in refusing to extradite Julian Assange.
In the judgment, the conclusion states that the High Court rejects the U.S. appeal on grounds 1, 3, and 4, which are related to evidence, but it will allow the appeal of grounds 2 and 5, which are related to the new U.S. assurances. Therefore, the sole basis for the reversal of the lower court decision is based upon the new U.S. assurances concerning the conditions in which Assange would be held in the U.S., not on the evidence. The U.S. authorities claim they will not place Assange under SAMs or special administrative measures, which does not actually reduce the risk of his being placed in other forms of isolation. The U.S. also claims that he will not be incarcerated at ADX Florence, which is just one of many maximum security prisons in the U.S. And lastly, the U.S. assures that Assange could serve his sentence in Australia, but this is after all other legal avenues and options have been exhausted. The assurances do not address the reasons for the district judge's decision to block the extradition. And these assurances can be reversed at any time by the very entities within the U.S. that spied on Assange and planned to assassinate him.
They accepted the word of the United States government as to the conditions in which Julian would be held. And they said that this is because they were solemn assurances from a state. Well, of course, these are solemn assurances from a state whose war crimes and murder of civilians were exposed by Julian Assange. You cannot accept these kinds of assurances from the government of the United States. And the government of the United States has broken precisely these kind of assurances in other legal cases for which there are a series of judgments at the European Court of Human Rights which were ignored by this court.
Human rights organization Amnesty International thoroughly examined the assurances and found them to be inherently unreliable and that they should be rejected.
Amnesty International says non-assurances. Amnesty International has analysed these assurances and have said that they are inherently unreliable. They incorporate the possibility of breaking those assurances in their very wording.
The High Court has sent the case back to the lower court and instructed it be sent to the UK Secretary of State Priti Patel. However, Assange's legal team released a statement that they will appeal the decision to the UK Supreme Court immediately. Julian Assange remains in Belmarsh Prison, and his family and supporters urge for your continued support.
This goes to the fundamentals of press freedom and of democracy. We will fight. Every generation has an epic fight to fight, and this is ours because Julian represents the fundamentals of what it means to live in a free society, of what it means to have press freedom. I urge everyone to come together and fight for Julian. Julian represents all our liberties and all our rights.
acTVism Munich will continue to follow this case and keep you updated on the latest developments, so please make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our new channel on Rumble. We are also present on Telegram at acTVism Munich Official. And in order for us to continue reporting on this case and other issues ignored by the corporate media, please donate to our organization so we can continue with our nonprofit news and analysis. I want to thank you all for watching and thank you for your continued support. I'm Taylor Hudak with acTVism Munich, and I'll see you guys next time.
Well, first they are getting Julian, then they will get you, me, everyone. This is a clear struggle for freedom of the press and for the right of citizens to know that which governments are doing behind their backs, supposedly on their behalf.
The lying is at the heart of it. So if you go and get people really inside the national security state and reveal the war crimes, the lying, the bullshit of the arms industry, that's like putting a dagger into a place you're not allowed to go.
So I think this case is absolutely devastating, horrifying, and wide-reaching implications for press freedom and journalism as a whole. And unfortunately, people have already made up their mind about Julian Assange. They're not taking a stand the way they should be.
It turned out he was under surveillance. It turned out there were people eavesdropping on everything he was doing. It turned out there were people even checking the nappies of his baby to check who it was and all the rest of it. For goodness sake, this is inhuman treatment of somebody that tried to bring some humanity to our planet.
He is being punished, as is Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, for releasing the truth.
He's on death row. He will be on death row if he is extradited.
A felon who confessed, who's one of the US's principal witnesses in this grotesque case. Not long ago, he confessed that everything he said was a fabrication. Not a word about him.
If this man gets extradited to the United States, he will be tortured until the day he dies.
The CIA was trying to murder Julian Assange or to capture Julian Assange.
It may now be Julian and it may now be Glenn Greenwald, but who will be next?
Julian is a publisher. Julian is also a son. He's a friend. He's my fiancé and a father. Julian needs his freedom and our democracy
needs a free press.
Yes, it is about Julian Assange, but it is much more also about all of you and your children and your families. And 20 years from now, will you still be able to know the truth about what your government is doing? Or when it has become a crime to inform you about what your government is doing with your tax money to other people that have not done anything wrong in their lives?
I'm Taylor Hudak with acTVism Munich. I'm in London outside the Old Bailey courthouse. Assange was rearrested under the new superseding indictment. Today is the first day of the appeal hearing in the extradition proceedings. Hi everyone, I'm Taylor Hudak and I'm outside London's Belmarsh Prison.
We are all Julian Assange. How would you know about all the crimes committed in our names if there weren't the billions of leaks published by WikiLeaks?
If wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by truth.
We're going to lock people away facing 200 years in prison for exposing war crimes. What kind of country, what kind of world are we going to live in? So we have to stand up and collectively say no more.
If you're an activist of any kind, right, left, center, an animal rights activist, an environmental activist, a socialist activist, any kind of an activist against global institutions, and you're not capable of setting aside whatever emotional feelings you have for Julian Assange to defend basic press freedoms and stand opposed to the efforts of the Trump government and Boris Johnson's Tory government to criminalize the activities of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and publishing information in the public interest, you are going to create a world for yourself in which the precedents you're now acquiescing to or cheering out of some misplaced hatred for Julian Assange are going to be used against you.
When you're in a dark room, one person switching on the light will make everyone see. Right? Don't look for the light somewhere else. Go and switch it on yourself.
We should all thank Julian for his courage and integrity in providing us with this precious gift at great cost to himself, much to our shame.
But think about the opportunities that you have, right? Because there are no heroes. Nobody's going to save you, right? There are only heroic actions. There are only heroic choices. There are only people who moment by moment see bad things and recognize, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can't fix everything, but maybe I can make progress. Maybe I can make things better. Maybe I am the one that I'm waiting for. And as soon as you start thinking like that, you'll realize that you are.
Free Assange, rock and roll.